Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review, this time of 2010, the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. It came out in 1984, got a few Academy Award nominations for Best Art Direction slash Set Decoration, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects, but it unfortunately did not win any of them. By the way, this Blu-ray does look great. Easily a better picture upgrade than the DVD. Film looks beautiful. Not much for features, just the trailer and a featurette from back in the day, which is too bad. I wish there were actual special features. Meaning, I know this Blu-ray came out around 2009. Roy Scheider had passed away, but when the DVD came out, would have been nice if there was an interview with Roy Scheider, an interview with Helen Mirren. I always forget Helen Mirren is in this, who would be in Red 2, Academy Award-worthy films like The Queen. Hell, she even made an appearance in the last Fast and Furious movie as Jason Statham's mother. So Roy Scheider, Helen Mirren, you got John Lithgow, Bob Balaban, you got Keir coming back as Dave Bowman from the first film. Would have been nice to see interviews from any of those. Peter Hyams, who directed this, which I'm a big fan of Peter Hyams. I even did a video long ago about my favorite Peter Hyams films, because I love Outland with Sean Connery. That's my favorite Sean Connery movie. I did a review for that. Love Outland, Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, Stay Tuned with John Ritter. I love End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that's an underrated one. Time Cop, Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman. He's done a lot of great work. Definitely an underrated director, but a great director nonetheless. And this was a tough endeavor because how do you follow up Stanley Kubrick to a film that is considered, whether you like or hate the film, is considered one of the best, most influential science fiction films of all time. And this was much more of a straightforward, some people would say less artsy-fartsy, more mainstream, but both films, I think, worked in what they were trying to do. 2001, The Space Odyssey was Stanley Kubrick's visual endeavor with use of music and images, while this is much more... If you had to compare between the two, this is definitely much more of characters, because I don't mind the people in 2001 Space Odyssey, but in this one you got Roy Scheider, you got John Lithgow, Bob Balaban, Helen Mirren. There's definitely more dialogue and more with these characters. Roy Scheider, this is a guy I miss a lot. I love him as an actor in Jaws and Jaws 2, Blue Thunder, even his bit role in films like The Punisher with Thomas Jane. There's a few of his I still haven't seen, like 52 Pickup and Still of the Night, I think is one, and some others. He was good in The French Connection. Love Roy Scheider, and this is easily one of my favorite films with him in it. I think he does a great job as Dr. Floyd. It's 9 years after the first film, timeline-wise, and the ship Discovery from the first film is still out there. And a Soviet guy meets up with Roy Scheider among these satellites, and he goes, "Hey, we're going to get there first, but we can't get into the ship, so let's work together." And they do. And 1984, when this was made, you still had the Cold War going on, so there's tensions between U.S. and Soviets. And who knows if there's going to be an Earth to come back to, all this rising tension between the two nations, which is played off a little bit on when they're on their ship, because the Russians and the Americans, they don't know if to trust each other or whether to work together. But I didn't think it was too hammy or hamstrung or anything of that nature. The cast worked well. I do wish we got more John Lithgow. I mean, it's not like he's in it for a cameo. It's not like he's in it for just 5 minutes. Being greedy, I like John Lithgow, Harry and the Hendersons, Cliffhanger. Would have been nice to see more of him, more interactions between him and Roy Scheider. But I liked a little bit with John Lithgow and this Russian. They have this sort of subtle friendship that develops when he's trying to teach him slang. Piece of cake. No, piece of pie. No, it's cake. Piece of cake. Or easy as cake. No, pie. Easy as pie. It's not too overcomplicated. It didn't need to be, but I thought it was a nice little friendship they had. The visual effects by Richard Edlund in his group, I think, are still beautiful. The model work, the stars, the planets, the moons of Jupiter, Io and Europa, the monolith, they all look great. Still to this day, like I said, when I was watching this Blu-ray, it looked beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous. And I know Peter Hyams, I think he worked in cinematography. He knows how to make a picture look good, in my opinion. And he had a lot of hands in this, Peter Hyams, because he wrote, he produced, and he directed it. And I think he did a really good job. And if you're going into this for an action film, you're not getting that. This is purely science fiction film about the journey. It has a good message to it, which I didn't think it was corny or anything of that nature. It was a nice message at the end about being good to each other. I like the way the movie ends, which I'll get to. The score by David Scheider, I think, works well with the film. It's a synthesizer score, but not synthesizer in the vein of John Carpenter, a different kind of synthesizer, but I thought it worked well for the flick. You also do have the Also Sprach Zarathustra, probably said that wrong, you know, that main theme in 2001. They bring that back at the beginning and end of the film, which I thought was a good choice. Even the little side characters, when Roy Scheider's talking with his buddy in front of the White House and they get this journey into motion, I liked his buddy. And it looked like they really did shoot in front of the White House, and that's hard to do and get clearance for that. So being able to do that, big props. It was again, some really good looking images. Even Roy Scheider's place, his pad looks awesome because him, his wife, and his kid, they have a fucking dolphins, pet dolphins. So I thought that was really cool. I'm like, wow, they got pet dolphins. I also like the fact that Roy Scheider, he does actually play a character from the first movie. Because if you watch the first movie and you pay attention, there is a character named Dr. Floyd, and that's who he plays. And in that Dr. Floyd talked to a little girl who is his daughter, and they do reference that because there's a scene between Roy Scheider and Helen Mirren where he talks about his first marriage and how his daughter's is probably about 17 now, and his first wife, I think, died, and so he remarried. So I like they didn't ignore that. They did a little bit of their homework, because sometimes sequels do that. Look at Texas Chainsaw 3D. Those who've seen, you know what the hell I'm talking about. But the way the sets look and the technology used, Richard Edlund and his group did a fantastic job. I stop stuttering. I don't know what won that year for visual effects. Probably could look it up. But I thought they did a great job with this. Now, it came out in 1984, which was a year you had films like Starman, you had films like Beverly Hills Cop, and it did all right at the box office. I think it made around 40 million, so it wasn't a blockbuster, but I don't think it was a flop either. But still, it's a sequel that's forgotten, which is too bad. Not many people talk about the film. Not many people talk about the sequel. Granted, they don't talk about it in a bad way. They don't really talk about it in any way. Like I said, it's a fairly forgotten sequel, which I think is too bad. It does have a lot going for it. Like I said, I think the cast do a good job. The score works for the film. It's beautiful images. Again, if you're going into this for big bouts of suspense or action, you're not going to get that, and maybe you'll be mad and disappointed. But I think if you're, and maybe fans of the first one, they're like, yeah, this is too mainstream, it's too straightforward, why are they doing it that way? And I thought it worked well. Because you can't copy Stanley Kubrick, so don't try. And I'm glad that Peter Hyams didn't try to just copy Stanley Kubrick. He's like, no, let's not copy them. Let's do our own thing. And you have a few stuff happening. They send this probe down. They find that there's chlorophyll on one of the moons, which is very strange. Like there's life on there. They get shot back. The do the slingshot around the moon in order to get to their, which is something they do. I mean, you saw that later in films like Apollo 13. You know, doing the slingshot to go save on fuel. And I actually forgot, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out that year, and that won for Best Visual Effects. It was that, 2010, and Ghostbusters. So, pretty heavy competition. Can't blame it for that. Although, for Best Makeup, Best Costume Design, Best Art Direction, that was all Amadeus. To be fair, I haven't seen Amadeus, but I know the one song, Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. I know that's not in the movie, although that'd be pretty funny if it was. This very serious drama that won Academy Awards, and in the middle of the film they go, Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. But anyway, I'm going off tangent now. Like I said, John Lithgow and the Russian guy, they have a nice back and forth when John Lithgow and Bob Balaban get woken up by Roy Scheider after they do the slingshot. John Lithgow is there to turn on the Discovery spaceship when they get there. Bob Balaban is there to bring HAL 9000 back online. It's cool that they got the same voice to do the HAL 9000 that they did in the first movie. That's another person it'd be nice to interview. I don't know if he's still with us, but you know, that's a memorable character, the HAL 9000. He's the voice of it. I don't even know the name of the person who did voice HAL 9000. And John Lithgow and the Russian, they help each other out. The Russian helps John Lithgow get to the spaceship while he's almost hyperventilating. On the flip side, John Lithgow helps the Russian out when they get there, and the Russian guy smells something rotten. He's like, no, no, it's okay. It's all right. You know, it's not what you think it is. Keir, nice to see him back from the first movie. He pops up. He gives a final message to his wife on Earth and his mother, and says something's about to happen, something wonderful. And also gives a nice final moment with Roy Scheider, where he warns him, hey, you have 2 days to get out of here. I like that during the scene, Keir Dulley's character keeps changing, that we saw at the end of 2001. So it's like he's old, then he's older, then he's a star child. And I thought the way that was edited, I thought was nicely done. And throughout the film, you get this whole subplot of war tensions going on at home. But I like they didn't cut back to Earth every 5 minutes to going on with this. They strictly, well, 98% of the time stayed on the spaceship, except the moment where Keir Dullea visited his wife and, or his ex now, and his mother. But I like that they stayed on the ship and they worked together to get out of there. When they realize the monolith is gone, they believe Roy Scheider, they need to get out of there. They're not sure whether to tell HAL 9000 what happened, what's going on, or is he going to go psycho again. You find out what happened with HAL 9000, that he was told to lie. We should do gather in the first movie, because when Dave Bowman shuts HAL down, he gets that message where they were lied to, him and his buddy were lied to. And, okay, now we will tell you why you're doing this. So they lied to HAL 9000, that fucked up his circuitry because he didn't know how to lie. So he didn't know how to compute, so that's a malfunction. I think people didn't like the fact that stuff was explained. I actually like it because I don't think it ruins the first movie. I think that's fine. And that's stuff that you watch the first one, you could kind of gather anyway from that. To me, stuff that ruins it would be like Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, or they're prequels, but Prometheus or Alien Covenant, it did come and shit. Just that stuff. Plus, they're just really shitty movies, but on top of that, they ruin stuff. So maybe that's why some people didn't like it. They felt it ruined the mystique. But I think the mistake is still there. I think it still didn't answer every single question, and you still have stuff you can wonder about and think about, like where the monolith actually came from, all that. That's still not explained, and it didn't really need to be either. Just told a little adventure science fiction story that you don't see a lot nowadays. I guess people were talking about the last time would be Interstellar. I don't hate Interstellar. I like Interstellar, but the ending bugs the fuck out of me still. But I would admit if I hated Interstellar. Believe me. If you've been on my channel, you would know I would admit it. But a lot of the film I like. But if I had to pick, I prefer this in 2001 over Interstellar. But again, I don't hate Interstellar. It's just the whole ending bugs the fuck out of me. The ending to this I really enjoy. I think it fits the film well. I like a lot of all my reviews. I always give spoilers. I mean, the film is over 30 years old. So, spoiling the end of the film, just warning from now. I love the idea that what happened, they took, they being the monolith and whatever that is, took one of the moons of Jupiter and turned it into a new star. And this final message of all these worlds are yours except Europa. Use them together. Use them in peace. Even where Scheider is talking about how, yeah, there's life out there, and we just got a new lease and a warning from the landlord. And it's a nice science fiction. That's the point of science fiction, is to make you go wow and wonder about and think about what could be, what might be, and a sense of awe and wonder. And wow, that's a nice idea. Just having two suns, and now you have another planet, and we see that it's in a way becoming another Earth. And even by the last shot of the film, there's another monolith, just like there's a monolith on Earth. Now maybe it's for that civilization on that Europa, Earth 2, that will maybe one day go to the stars. I thought that was a nice message to it, and a nice way to end it. See, I don't always need big explosions and action to end a movie. When it's done well like this, I think it was fairly effective. It's a well-directed movie, beautiful visual effects, the score fits the film well, great-looking cinematography. The cast, I love Roy Scheider. John Lithgow has a nice subtle wit to him. Bob Balaban, Helen Mirren. Nice to see Keir Dullea back. And he has like a nice final moment with HAL 9000. I think that's cool for fans of 2001 Space Odyssey. They have a nice final dialogue between each other. Thought that was nice. Other than just some little nitpicks, for example, wish I could see a bit more John Lithgow. I didn't have many problems with this film. I think I saw both of these on Turner Classic Movies, 2001 Space Odyssey and 2010. Like, I saw 2001 Space Odyssey, and then when I got to the end of it, I had a lot of questions. And I'm like, man, I'm a bit confused. Oh, maybe I get that. And then watching the sequel, I think it came on after, it made me enjoy 2001 even more. So lo and behold, a sequel I don't think destroys the previous film. Like Alien 3, one of the reasons I hate Alien 3 so much, and I always go, hashtag fuck Alien 3, I go over the top on it. But the reason I do is because I think it makes the previous film pointless, in my opinion. It makes Aliens pointless. Her going and rescuing Newt and the whole final battle, it was pointless. Because you could go, what Alien 3 is, you could have gone from, she's on the shuttle in Alien, she slams down in Alien 3, and instead of being found by people, her shuttle could have just slammed on the prison planet. And in Alien, they didn't know how they were replicated, so you could make shit up and here's some face huggers and have the rest of the movie. So it makes Aliens almost... You could do that easily with some edits and makes Aliens pretty much pointless. And that's one thing I didn't care for. I don't care. That's the sequels I hate. When you have a previous film that's really good and the sequel makes the previous film pointless, those are the sequels that usually piss me off the most. This, to me, I thought was a nice addition to 2001: Space Odyssey. It was a nice... It's a nice film to watch back to back with 2001. It's a good double feature. It's a well done film on its own, but to me it doesn't hurt the original film at all. So 2010, I definitely think it's one of the more underrated sequels. No one ever talks about it. Peter Hyams, I think, did a really good job. And Roy Scheider, miss you a lot, man. Big fan. Loved his work. But those are my thoughts on 2010, the year we made content. A very solid sequel. Thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.